Welcome back to Across the Board with E and the Colonel, or the Colonel and E, however you see it, here on hawkradio.org and acrosstheboardradio.com. One of my favorite interviews that we've done over the past several years is with one of my favorite bands over the past multiple years, Taproot. And these guys are back, excited about this. We've both had the pleasure to see them live at different shows, and back with a new album called The Episodes. Stephen Richards, lead singer, is with us right now. Stephen, welcome back to the show, brother.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely, man. We had Phil on a couple of years ago, with the last album, and
sorry about that.
And we're loving what we are hearing from the episodes now. We actually have the entire album, and it just dropped as well. It really dig it, but this was a concept album, 6 years in the making, right? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually only about 10 days in the making originally, but then it was shelved for about 6 years and then revisited.
Wow.
Is a better way of putting it. But, when we were going to do our fourth record, called, Long Road Home, my guitarist approached me, and, we'd been known at the time for spending a good year to 2 years writing material for records, just because we're nitpicky and, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and it was just kind of depressing how long it takes to write and record a record, especially for a major label and stuff. So we just decided that we wanted to write 10 songs in 10 days, not overthink it, not do anything too crazy, and just whatever comes out, comes out. And that's what the Episodes was, and it was. We also took a different approach to it. We wrote the lyrics first, and then just accompanied the music to it, secondary, almost like a musical score, like you would do for a movie. And
Excellent.
So with that type of idea, I just kind of started coming up with this really crazy, cool story that involves 3 different characters that you follow over a couple, it's just over the span of a couple hours on a Sunday morning, 3 different characters, their take on the day, and then there's twists and turns, and by the end of the record, you kind of figure out that there's a whole bunch of deeper stuff going on in there too. So, it was something that we wanted to release for our fourth record, but with all the, you got to have a mainstream hit and do this and that,
right.
All the people that we were working with at the time, we ended up shelving it and releasing our fourth and then fifth record, but then decided that it was time to go for it, and we revisited it and worked on it this time around in 2012, and we're happy with the way it came out.
Do you feel like this is an album that you're much more proud of, or do you feel like it's finally got it out of the way? It was something you wanted to get off your chest?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think obviously, it didn't come out when we wrote it for a reason, and I guess there was a reason for that. But at the same time, a lot of our fans still ask us all the time, like, do you guys have any B-sides? Are you ever going to release any unreleased material and this and that? And it was kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because it's something that Mike and I really, really wanted to put out there for our fans. We were even posting it online at the time, and people were just so excited about the riffs and, certain parts of songs that we were making public, and then next thing you know, we're not releasing it. So it was kind of, it's for our old fans that wanted to have, some B-sides released, and, as far as effectiveness for us with the economy the way it is, and, I've got a 20-month-old baby now, and some of the family type of changes and moves and stuff, it was kind of a little bit easier to just go ahead and revisit something and turn something that we already had existing time-wise, just to get it out as quick as possible. And, we're definitely confident with the material, and it's, for sure, it's by far my favorite record for sure.
That makes sense, to energy-wise and logistically, that makes sense to put that album out instead of having to create something completely new. Now, Stephen, you actually featured on a lot of other bands' albums as well. Linkin Park, you were in Reanimation. Reveille is a band that, not many people know about. I think it was a fantastic band. You were actually featured in one of their projects. How do those collaborations come about, and can we look forward to any more of those?
Usually those are just like personal type of connections. We go way back with Linkin Park, through our old management, and, we toured with those guys. They were fans of ours before they were even signed, and then next thing you know, we're opening up for them. So that was awesome, and they threw us a bone and threw me a bone and said, you know, I mean, they were fans of some of the 3-part harmony stuff that I do, and so they asked me to do a song, and I was more than happy to do that. It was really fun. Just spent a couple hours in Mike Shinoda's apartment at the time before he moved into his luxurious home, and so that was really cool. Yeah, the Reveille thing. Not too many people, you know, knew about them, which is a bummer because they were one of the better bands that we played with on the first Ozfest that we did in 2000, and I even got to play a song with those guys live on drums, which is my true passion. So that was fun too.
We'll talk about that for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
but that was actually, we were out in L.A. and I think they were working on their second record at the time, and they heard we were in town just meeting producers, getting ready to do our second or third record, and asked if I'd be interested in doing something, and I said, hell yeah, and they said, well, we've got 2.5 minutes of a song, do you mind writing? And I'm like, geez, 2.5 minutes, that's like more than I like to write for a record. But I'll try to fill it in, and so I just went and tracked some of that with those guys. I also did a guest spot with a band that Mike and Taproot helped get signed at the time called Pulse Ultra to Atlantic Records. Good Canadian kids from Montreal, great band that just kind of fell to the wayside as well. Some of the most talented musicians I've ever met, and they didn't really get a chance just because I think they're a little bit too intricate for some people. So I've definitely had the pleasure of getting to dip my finger in some of the other people's ink, or whatever the proper way of saying that without being beeped would be.
Right, yeah.
the industry
close.
ink.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been even working at home in Michigan recently, just preparing for touring and stuff. I've been doing some little guitar work and stuff with some future up-and-coming bands out of the Detroit area, which I'm really excited about, too. Nothing to put my name on and claim credit for by any means, but there's a good couple of bands out of Detroit called Pistol Day Parade and Shockwave that might be getting some radio play and some recognition here pretty soon that I've got to be a small portion of too as well.
We'll definitely have to look into them then, because any band you give us a recommendation on, we're going to take very highly, very highly.
Oh. Right on. Well, I've got my own taste, and you're welcome to check it out if you want to, and I hope you enjoy it because it's really good stuff.
You liked Reveille, and I'm telling you, I thought those guys were amazing. I mean, that was ridiculous energy on an album. I mean,
absolutely, and especially for us too. I mean, music's one thing. You can have the best music ever, but be a total douchebag. But I mean, those guys not just were great musicians and whatnot, but they were just great guys. I mean, we still try to stay in touch with them every once in a while. I think we hung out with Justin, the old drummer, for a couple hours, maybe like a year ago when we were in town. He came out to a show, and we still try to stay in touch with those guys. Those are the good people that you really like making connections with in the music business.
You got to convince them to put together another chance or something like that. That music was. Especially like you guys were to go on tour again. Bam.
Yeah.
You couldn't hold me back with an arm.
Yeah, I'd be down for sure. I know they did like 2 reunion shows like a year or 2 ago, but it was just like a 1 or 2 off weekend gig back home in Massachusetts. But I'd definitely be down for them to get back together. They're great guys, and I'd love to tour with them again.
Speaking of tours and shows, the Colonel and I have both been able to see you play, actually at separate shows. He met up with you guys at Bourbon Street in Baltimore a year ago. It was last year in February, I guess, yeah. And I saw you guys play, man, I want to say it was like 2004 or something like that in Delaware, out near the beach. Great show, and from last year to way back then, outstanding shows. And I was really surprised with how heavy you guys are in person. I mean, I walked in and I didn't know what you guys looked like yet. I knew some songs, but I walked in and I'm like, who's this band? And you guys were raging in there. And then all of a sudden you started singing Poem, and I'm like, oh, this is Taproot? Really? Like, you guys were amazing live. Where does that? Yeah, man. Where does that energy come from? I mean, how do you get up like that every night?
It's it's difficult. You know, sometimes you find yourself hitting the bottle and trying to get some liquid courage,
no
and
doubt.
just you know, letting the bones loosen up a little bit. But unfortunately, I can't do that anymore. I had an episode last week. I had some health issues and found myself in the hospital, so I have to be off the sauce for now. But
oh man,
luckily for most of us, we've all got our you know, sports backgrounds and stuff, and being a huge hockey fan and player my entire life, I definitely find some inspiration from you know, just needing to get that out. I also started playing drums when I was a little kid, so I definitely like the physical aggression. So it's not too hard to bring out, and you know, it's a good release.
Yeah, now we're going to start, you know, getting deeper into who is Stephen Richards and talking about hockey and drums and that sort of thing as well. First off, what do you think about? I know you're a Blackhawks fan. What do you think about that hit that Torres laid on Hossa last week?
I don't know. I think unfortunately Torres is the whipping boy for an odd playoff season. I mean, as much as I love Hossa and the Blackhawks, I think the suspension was a little bit retarded, a little too heavy. It definitely was a dirty hit, but I probably only thought it was maybe worth 2 or 3 games, not 25. But they're just trying to, you know, make sure that no one else does anything that stupid again. So,
and
you played some hockey at a pretty high level when you were younger, and you've played some celebrity games.
Yeah.
You know, how much do you play now?
Well, I've been having to take a little bit too much of a break for my liking. I've sustained some pretty major injuries even since not being all that competitive anymore. A couple of years ago, I took a skate to the chin and the carotid.
Oh, what?
And
whoa.
That gave me my last real big concussion, which now has also led to the reason I was in the hospital last week was for seizures, because I've had so many concussions that apparently my brain is just over it. So,
oh man, I don't even know what to say to that, man. I hope everything, the outlook is good for the future, or what are we talking about here?
Yeah, I'm just on. I'll just be on meds, and I can no longer partake in the medicinal alcoholic beverage drinking, which was a major portion of my life for a long time. But I suppose that's only a good thing, because that'll take its own toll on my body as well. So I'm off the sauce and whatnot. I definitely still look forward to playing hockey as much as I can. I just got to be careful with the brain hits and stuff. I've definitely taken some, at shows and stuff too, which I have to calm down. I've been known to jump off third-story balconies and get out in the mosh pit, and I have to kind of stay away from that stuff and treat the brain like a little girl.
And one of the things too about your live shows that I remember was that despite the fact that you guys are up there, you have a job to do, you're performing for the fans, but you also realize that there's more to just the performance itself. I remember having the camera, and my girlfriend had the camera too, and anytime you guys had an opportunity to get a pose or to take advantage of it, you helped cater to the people taking pictures as well. And I just thought that was really special, because a lot of bands, they're so busy performing, but you guys also recognize that there are fans out there with cameras and everything, and I think that makes that a very huge portion of a live show as well, for people to be able to take those memories home with them. And I've really got to give you a lot of props for that.
That's cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, actually, one of my favorite things to do is if I see people, close that I can reach that are holding cameras up. I love taking their cameras from them and then taping the show from our perspective, almost like the Bon Jovi Bad Medicine video.
Oh yeah, nice. I think you did that.
Take it up on stage. I get some good shots from behind the drummer. Doing drum rolls, and get good shots of Phil sliding his strings on his bass neck and stuff.
A little video production skills.
I definitely love, it's, to me, that's what it's about. I'd rather be out in the crowd for most of the show anyway, listening along and, slam dancing and partying with them and stuff. It's the performance and the lights and the awkward stuff. That's the goofy part to me, but I know that we have to do it.
Yeah, Stephen, you're kind of dating yourself there when you use the term slam dancing. We haven't, I'm with you. I originally learned that one as well, and now went to moshing, and now to circle pits and walls of death. We'll see what's next.
I have to regress to try to get my brain out of wanting to do that stuff anymore now that I'm not allowed to.
Getting back to hockey, being a Blackhawks fan, I'm a huge Blackhawks fan as well, more so back in the day. But who's your favorite Blackhawk of all time?
Oh, geez, of all time. Well, just in memory, especially growing up in Detroit and stuff, I'd probably just have to say, even though he was a Red Wing first and foremost, I'd have to say Probert just in memory, because I think that was a tragic loss. He had some issues too, so I miss that guy. Bobby Probert was great, but as far as, the real true Blackhawks, obviously Bobby Hull was, amazing for the club and whatnot, and Chris Chelios was obviously huge mainstay, but I'm glad they have Danny Carcillo right now. I think he's a good turd that causes trouble even though he's been injured all year, and I think my favorite current Blackhawk right now is Brent Seabrook.
Okay, good call. And we're in the D.C. area, sort of. I guess that's closest to us. So we've got Ovechkin and the Caps near us. Yeah, and they're hanging on by a thread right now. But
and with that being said, I just want to state for the record, I am not a bandwagon team person, and it's obvious because I'm actually a Maple Leafs fan.
Nice.
And
not nice.
So,
not nice.
I'm sitting here listening to you guys talk
I'm a
about.
hockey guy through and through anyway. I just root for certain teams more than others, but I love it all. I can talk any and all hockey if you want.
Nice, Frozen Four, the whole nine.
I
right?
hear you guys talking about these championship teams and everything, and I'm just sitting there going, one day I'll be able to have a conversation like that too.
Yeah,
couple years out, man. You guys, Toronto's got a good base. Kessel's tearing it up. Luke Stem's a good guy, even though they might get rid of him for some reason in the off season. We'll see what happens there. But you can't go wrong when you have classics like Dougie Gilmour and Wendell Clark and Corey Salming, and
Dougie
you got a good club there.
Dougie and Sundin, those were my two, man. Those were my two.
Beauties, yeah.
Sundin, yeah, absolutely, man. Now let's talk a little bit about drumming. Maybe people don't know this, but you, like you said, I think you started at age 4, right? You learned drums, and now you play guitar, and you obviously sing with a band as well. You kind of do a little bit of everything. You're an everyman. But you actually stopped playing drums, I believe, because of a hockey injury, right, to your knee?
That's been out there. That's actually slightly possible. I actually have more of a carpal tunnel issue. I still, I still play drums. I played drums on the last couple records here and there. I even played on, like a song and a half on this new record, the episodes too. But it's if I was going to try to get out there and play a full gig after probably 15 minutes, I'd start dropping sticks just because my carpal tunnel in my hands gets a little too rough on me.
Jeez, you just beat up in all sorts of ways, man.
Yeah, man. But hey, you live fast.
That's
I like
a
it.
life, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Sitting back wishing you had done more.
What do you prefer? Doing all of those things at different times, or do you prefer rhythm guitar over vocals over drums, or any of those? Or you just do you have a favorite there?
Oh yeah, by far. I started playing drums at the age of 4, like you said, and that's. If I could, I'd just be a drummer. That's all. I'd love to show up, sound check playing drums, take a couple hours off, play drums for an hour, and then have the rest of the time, and then not have to, think of boneheaded stuff to stay in front of people staring at you.
Right.
Singing by far is just something that I kind of got forced into doing because we couldn't find anyone around, and luckily it worked out good enough to make a career out of, but by no means do I sit at home singing for fun.
Oh, yeah, you're amazing at it,
out well. Yeah. And again, the album is called The Episodes, and, one of the things that I think I like about it is all the songs have such a great sound to them. You get a little bit of everything. But one of the things I've noticed throughout the songs is you have a voice that seems to be recurring, not a voice not of your own. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's Fred. He's the go-to Apple computer talk voice.
Yep.
Sounds. Everyone calls him Stephen Hawking, which I thought was perfect, especially with the year being 2012, and everyone worried that the world might end, and then the whole. I'm definitely into some of the theoretical physicist shows and stuff that Stephen Hawking does. So.
Right.
I definitely thought it was a cool tie-in, all the people with their iPhones that have that Siri thing now, all that nonsense. I definitely think it kind of helps tie our, modern pop rock music with also some of the kind of techno, you know, dubstep, computerized stuff going on. So I didn't mind incorporating it all. But also the main element for it was just because the record is basically telling a story.
Right.
Like even the lyrics are written almost in a narrative. So it was kind of more just like adding a narrator to the story, which I thought made it really cool. And honestly, those are my favorite parts of especially playing live, when I get to, you know, just like stop singing and just play my guitar riff and then let the computer, you know, like take over for a minute.
Right. Yeah, it's nice. Nice little reprieve there. I like that.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's just, it's cool. It's meant to be more of an experience. We're not really trying to do anything, you know, too crazy or, oh, it's supposed to be Stephen Hawking or anything like that. But it's just a guest narrator, and we don't really know anyone that has that cool of a talking voice, or didn't want to have to pay anyone, so it was free.
Right. That's good thing.
It all comes down to business.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Now, talking about the whole apocalyptic thing, you know, this is a question we love to ask everybody. If you knew the world was going to end in 10 to 15 minutes, somewhere around there, what is the last song that you would want to hear or perform? Now, you being so, you know, multi-talented, you could play the song in drums, you could play it on guitar, you could sing it. So, song that you could listen to or perform, yours or anybody else's. Last one.
Man, I'm not exactly sure. I'd probably have to go to, I don't know why this song is this way for me, but we have a song on our fourth record, Our Long Road Home, called Karma Way. It was one of the last songs written. And, like, when I wrote that song for, you know, I wasn't in a real bad place, and I'm not trying to promote anything like it, but it was kind of like the music just almost made me feel like if I was laying in a bathtub and deciding to go ahead and just finish it off myself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so I tried to captivate that type of emotion and sound in my lyrics. And the song, it's basically dealing with karma, which, you know, whether you're into or not, I think is kind of a fact, you know. Things come full circle,
seem to,
good
man,
or
for sure.
bad. And so I definitely think that there's something about that song, Karma Way, that I think would probably want to be my last song that I heard, whether it's good or bad, because obviously I wouldn't know either way if it's going to be good or bad. But it definitely has the emotion and the feeling behind it of like, okay, I'm ready to meet my maker, whatever it is, you know.
Good point. And that is a great song. I mean, that's another mark of a great band. You know, through all of your albums, you guys have had incredible songs, some that got a lot of commercial play and some that didn't. One of my favorite songs by you guys, if not my favorite, is Birthday, I think, which did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I just love that song. I love the, you know, the harmonies and that, and just the way it's constructed. But, you know, you don't have many bad songs, I got to tell you, or any bad songs for that matter. The new album, though, is The Episodes, and No Surrender is out right now, and some of the other singles will be dropping in the next few months. But go out and buy it, and go see these guys live. What I can personally attest to is an amazing show. Go out there and get the entire album. Again, don't just get one song. Go to iTunes or a record store.
Yeah, please do. You need to hear it from top to bottom too. Right. It's actually a really cool story, and if you start trying to figure it out, it'll be a lot of fun when you have free time.
Yeah, definitely listen to that. You know, while you're working at your computer, or, you know, going to work out, whatever. It's an incredible album. We love it. And
words with friends, whatever.
Yeah, right. Taproot Music is the website, and of course they're out on, you know, Facebook, Twitter, all those things as well. Again, Taproot Music, and The Episodes is the album. Stephen, we appreciate it, and we'll be back here in a few minutes on Across the Board with the Colonel and E. We'll do it that way this time on hawkradio.org.
And acrosstheboardradio.com.